Hi everyone, Dave here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Kubota M7-152. So this is a premium tractor, so it's a lot more electronics in it than the M7s that we've looked at previously. This tractor is hooked up with the crane round baler on the back as well. So let's take a look around and we'll show you some features of this tractor. We've got the crane round baler. So this is a variable chamber round baler in the series. So this is our comprimer in the comprimer range. So the model is a V150XC. So V, but it's been for a variable chamber. So it can go anywhere from a 900mm to a 1500mm round diameter baler. So that's your 150, so up to 1500mm. And then your XC is just got cutters. So it's got knives in there. So the benefit of having your knives in there when your material's coming through. So after you've cut your hay and you've got your rows and you're feeding the baler, your knives are in there to chop all the stems up into smaller sections. So it's a lot easier for livestock, or if you're silaging and feeding out, a lot easier for livestock to handle, and there's not as much wastage because they're a lot smaller bites for the livestock that's eating them. Otherwise, single axle, you can get a tandem axle round baler as well, but this one's just set up with a single axle. Around the side, like I said, it's all got all of your lighting set up as well for transport. So on the comprimer series, the pickup system across the front of the baler is a W pattern. So you can see across here, these are like a wave pattern with your fingers for your pickup. So it's giving you a nice consistent pickup. So in your rows, it's always got a consistent feed going through to your bales. So very consistent bale densities and widths, but also is a camless pickup as well. So very long lasting without having any of that in there. So camless pickup, just to get nice consistent feed through to your round baler. Right, so on the back of our premium series M7s, you've got 4 hydraulic remotes standard across the back. So you've got, they're color coded, but blue, black, green and brown hydraulic remotes across the back. These hydraulic remotes are all adjustable flow rates. Separate to your deluxe and standard tractors, in this premium range, we've got a 12-inch monitor up in the cab that we'll run through, but all of your flow rates are adjustable from in the cab. You can also set timings on them as well. So if you want to set a particular, let's say this blue remote, to have hydraulic flow for 5 seconds and then stop, all of that is programmable from the cab. So you can set up and really personalize in the premium series tractors how you want the tractor to perform. Around from there, the premium series is load sensing as well. So you got your load sensing remotes on the back, also got hydraulic braking standard in these premium series tractors as well. Down here on your PDO setup, so standard with your 9 spline here, you've got Allen keys, just heads around the side here, so it's easily able to swap that PDO shaft off and put a 21 spline PDO on there to run any of those attachments that run 1000 PDO RPM. Up on the back as well, standard is your cab suspension. So cab suspension, air suspension seat, and your premium one also has a front suspension as well that we'll run through. So front suspension, cab suspension, air suspension seat, 50k an hour gearbox. So upgraded to a 50k an hour in your premium series with front suspension. So very comfortable, and it has that faster speeds for a lot of transport and a lot of road use to get you from A to B a little bit quicker as well. 3-point linkage setup, same as all the M7 range. So 9.5 tonne, a little bit more than 9.5 tonne lifting capacity with your 3-point linkage. So very big lifting cylinders on both left and right hand cylinders sides. And then you can either have a category 2 or a category 3 ball end, depending on what attachment that you're running. So it can suit a very big range of attachments and capable of being able to do a lot of heavy work for you. So moving around to the side on your mud guards. So left and right hand side have the same buttons on both. So in your premium tractor, they're a little bit more electronic. So your first 2 buttons are just your PDO. So PDO on or stop your PDO. The next one down is hydraulic. So if you're running a hydraulic top link or you've got your attachment hooked in, very easy to set up and move them around. And then the furthest one back is your 3-point linkage. So it's just raising and lowering the 3-point linkage for when you're hooking up your attachments. So very easy to use. So the Kubota M7 Premium and Premium KVT model have this bar axle setup. So benefit of that is you can extend the wheel or track width of the machine to give you a bit more stability, and very easy if you need to put dual tyres on the back of the machine for traction. So standard with this axle, so you can extend for better stability, or you can run those dual tyres on the back if you need to. Moving around, so you got your diesel tank and AdBlue, so available in 2 different ranges. So you've got a tier 4, which is this one here for emission control, so it's got AdBlue on it. Also available in a tier 2, so you can get this particular premium tractor without the AdBlue, so we can literally just have diesel. So tier 2 is just diesel and no DPF filter in it as well. But this particular tractor's in a tier 4 model to meet emission regulations, so it does have AdBlue on there as well. Standard on your premium as well is your fenders. So these are just pivoting front fenders as well, just to keep it nice and clean, and there's no material is going to flick up and mud on your machine. Another benefit and step up on your premium tractors. So from your standard and deluxe tractors, you've got lighting around your top of your cab, but in the premium range, they give you a little bit more extra lighting as well. So you've got LED lighting on left and right, down a little bit lower, but you've also got LED lighting on the rear of the tractor as well. So additional to the lights on top of your cab for your work lights, there is some extra LED lights around the machine, just to give you a lot better visibility if you're working through the night. So this tractor's set up, it's got the Kubota LM2605 loader. So this is Kubota's own loader that they use on these tractors, which work really well with the armrest console in this machine. So when we have a look in the cab, you'll see the right-hand console's got an inbuilt joystick. So this works very well and very comfortable in the cab when you're operating it. But for reference, if you're looking at your Kubota loaders, so your numbers on the loader are usually very close or equivalent to your lift capacity at the pivot pin at the front of the loader. So pivot pin at the front of the loader's down here at the base of the machine. So the lifting capacities for this loader, so 2,605 kilos, for instance, is your lifting pin at the front, and then it's going to be less your attachments or the further away you get from the front of the loader itself. So if you're looking at any Kubota loader, that's what your numbers give you reference to, is just sort of the breakout lifting capacities at the pivot pin at the front of the loader. So we move around, loader again set up just with a Euro hitch attachment. So very easy to change your implements on the front from 4-in-1 grapples, pallet forks, whatever you happen to be running. So very easy to take off. All it is just grabbing this lever, pulling it across. Got some weight on there at the minute with the loader hooked up, but then it's just lowering the loader down and you can swap over your attachments very easy. This is the Kubota 4-in-1 bucket as well. So very, very good range of tasks that your 4-in-1 bucket can do. So as you can see, we've left this one a little bit open for you. So it's very good at grabbing material, logs, timber, whatever you need to do. So it's got little teeth around the inside of the bucket. So benefit of that just helps you grip any of those round or slippery material, just helps you clamp on and hold onto them so they're not going to fall out when you're driving along. So very good little feature in there, just so you can hold that material in there a little bit better. Moving around, so on this side, the left-hand side here, we've just got a level indicator again. So very good vision from the cab, so you can see whichever attachment you got on the front, you can see when it's level. So there's a little bend here in the rod up the top. So you can adjust that depending on what implement that you're running on the front, just so you can always have that right height and check when something's level to the ground. So little lock nut, you can just change that position, but it is a very good, easily sight from up in the cab. So when you're operating, you can always tell when your attachment's level to the ground. On the loader, so this is a mechanical self-leveling. So all your self-leveling loaders, when the bucket's level to the ground, as you lift, it's going to lift everything level for you. So you're not tipping anything back on the bonnet. When your bucket's curled too much, it's going to self-level and lift. Doesn't matter what attachment's on the front for you as well. Standard in the loaders is a soft ride as well, so it's like an accumulator valve. So suspension setup, just give you a nice soft ride in the loader as well. Again, very similar to a few other tractors in this series in the Kubota range, but it's a quick detach hydraulic system. So very easy to disconnect this loader if you need. So all it is, it's just a red button on the side here, just pulling that button out, and then you can release all of your hydraulic valves in one go. So very easy. And then when this comes off, it just sits up in a cradle here. So it all sits nice and neat together, ready for when you're coming back through and connecting again. So just to connect, just grab your lever, locking it back down, and then off you go. So that's all your electronics and hydraulics in one easy to remove option there. Moving around, so battery cover is just on the side here. So we'll open this up. So just your two terminals, 12-volt system on the side, and then your little water separator or sediment catcher under the side. So very easy access for any of your checks. And then again, around your right hand side, just your buttons, same as the left, just for your PDO, hydraulics up and down, and then 3-point linkage raising and lowering for when you're connecting your attachments as well. That's a quick walk around to the outside. Let's jump up in the cab and have a look at some features. Up in the cab of your Kubota premium tractors. So M7 Premium are very ergonomical in their layout. So very easy to operate anything that you need this tractor to do. So everything you need is pretty much on this right hand console. So whether that's loader, hydraulics, gear changes, or setting this tractor up exactly how you want it to run. So you've got this arm console, doesn't matter where you, so it's a swivel seat. So even if you turn or move this seat up and down, this whole console will move with you. So it makes it very comfortable to be able to run at 8 hours a day and get out of the cab and not feel like you've been sitting in a nice unconfined space. So standard in your premium tractors is this telescope, so 12-inch monitor, and the use of this is to set the tractor up how you want the tractor to run. So whether that's hydraulics, 3-point linkage, PDO, engine revs, auto gear changes, or even ISO bus system. So ISO bus system up here on your screen. So it's the top left-hand one on here. So this runs any implement that you've got plugged in that's ISO bus capable. So it's a universal tool that implements and tractors talk together. So you can control anything from this screen that you're using on the attachments as well. So at the moment we've got a chrome round baler on the back. So this would connect through your ISO bus instead of having another monitor. Or you can run fertilizer spreaders, sprayers, whatever it happens to be with ISO bus. You can then click on this button and then control your implement from the screen as well. So let's take a bit of a run through this screen first, and then we can talk about some other features in the tractor. So across the top is sort of like your settings of the tractor or implements that you're running on the back. So it's set, it's sort of like a toolbar view at the top where you can connect. So first one is ISO bus. So if you want to make adjustments, so you click on it, it'll highlight green. And then it's just click on this main screen. So if you've got something connected, it will then show here for you to do any adjustments that you need your attachment. Next one is the camera. So you can add cameras, which are a factory option to the tractor. So if you need to see anything that you can't visibly see from the cab, you can connect them and view that. Next one across is your fertilizer setup. So if you've got fertilizers, you can program or see their application rate. So it will vary as well. So when you've got an ISO bus connected on the back, let's say a fertilizer spreader, the tractor knows the speed that it's running at, so it can vary the flow rate on your fertilizer spreader, for instance, to match the ground speed that you're running at that particular time. Next one across, like I said, it's just a calculator, so if you need to do any calculations on the go. Then settings, so it's just like brightness of the screen setup. So you're running at night, you can turn the brightness down. Next one across is a coverage. So if you're running through the paddock ploughing, you can set up the working width of your attachment you're running, and then it'll show you the ground where you've covered and where you haven't if you've got a GPS signal set up. And the next one is just settings, if there's any system settings that you need to change in here. So very easy to use, but most of the features for programming the tractor are run across the bottom of the screen here. So they're very easy to use. As you can see, it's selected at the moment. So you've got 3 little icons down the bottom here. So let's just put one down here for a minute, and hydraulics. So these are just like a quick reference so you can see how the tractor's performing. If you need to make changes to how the tractor runs, they need to be in this big box here. So if you want to add anything to this screen or this section, all you're doing is clicking on what you want to change. So let's say we want to change the RPM setup or gearing the tractor. So we'll click on this bottom one here and then literally click on this big screen. So then automatically it pre-populates the settings here and shows you how the tractor is currently running. So at the moment, we're in A1, so these are your gears across the top. We're in neutral, and the tractor's not on, so it's not running at any RPM. And then all these features are what you can change on the tractor. So through here, you've got, like most of your M7 range, you've got 2 different preset engine RPM functions, which you can control from some buttons, but you can then change these RPM to be whatever you want to be. So you can turn it on or off from the screen when the tractor's running, but there's also buttons so you can do this mechanically. So if you push A, for instance, down here, it'll then go at the moment to 1600 RPM or whatever you want to set it at. So you can pre-program the tractor RPM, and then literally a push of the button, engine RPM will come to where you want it to go. So that's what your A and B are. The next one up here is your maximum engine RPM. So you can use the dial plus or minus, or you can literally touch screen and move that to wherever you want it to go. So that's the engine won't rev any higher than this. The next one at the top is your auto percentage. So it's just to do with the auto gear changes and the sensitivity of those changes. So whether it's increasing or decreasing any faster, just so you can set it how you want it to go. If you want to change the gears for setup, so if you click on this little edit button here, so we'll go back. So you've got auto buttons here. So your first one is like when you're in draft or work mode. Then the next one is your auto gears if you're just driving. So you can click on either one of these functions, and then you can change the minimum and maximum gears that you want the tractor to operate in. So you can see little pluses and minuses on here, or max and minimums. So these are minimum at the moment, A4, so it won't go any lower than A4, and it can upshift all the way into E4. So this is just so you can set the tractor about where it's auto shifting to and from, so to give it the range of gears that you want it to work through. Otherwise, you don't even have to turn this on. You can just manually control this from this power shift control if you want to. So 2 different ways. So that's just your travel one, and then your work mode is just so you can set your maximum and minimum gears. So you've got 6 to 1 gear in whichever range you're in, so it'll move through that full range, or you can just move through 2 or 3 if you want it to. We'll just do a quick check through the bottom here just so you know what they are. So your first one, if we click on it, so this is to do with all of your 3-point linkage attachments. So you've got your raising, lowering, top speed, draft control, and then the top one is your height as well. So at the moment it's at 100%, so you can set a minimum and maximum height on there. Down the right hand side you can lock the 3-point linkage out so it won't move. Next one down is like a soft ride, so it has a little bit of give in there when you're carrying heavy attachments around. That's to turn your draft mode on or off. What else have we got? So next one across is to do with the PDO attachment. So in the premium tractors you've got a feature on these because there's a bit more electronics involved. So when you lift the 3-point linkage up or down to a certain point, the PDO, you can set it up so the PDO can stop if you lift an attachment up to a certain height, and then will engage and start again when you lower it to a certain position. So you can just change these settings around. So let's say if you lift the 3-point linkage higher than 48%, the 3-point linkage, or sorry, the PDO will stop, and then once it lowers back down, so you can change this one, once it lowers past 31%, the PDO will engage again and your attachment will start spinning, or whatever you're operating. So they're very, very good at that, so you don't increase your PDO angle too much. So some implements have a degree of angle, so the PDO doesn't go over that and cause any damage or breaking. So you can stop that PDO when the 3-point linkage lifts above that certain height. Next one across here as well is your hydraulics. So these are standard with your 4, so color coded down the side here. So standard 4, and then this one's connected to the front end loader, but you can have another 2 remotes, so you can have up to 6 hydraulic remotes on the back if you need to. So all this is controlling flow rates, timing rates, or even if you want to lock them off and you don't want them to operate at all. So if you wanted to turn them off, so we're just turning them on at the moment because the tractor's not running, but so they're all lit up blue, but you can literally turn them off. So all it is pushing the button, and then that particular remote is turned off, so it won't work. So very easy if you want to click on them. So you can, at the moment we're in the first remote, so you can change the flow rate. So all it is turning them down, so you can decrease the flow rate in both directions, either in or out. So if you want a higher flow rate going out or a lower flow rate coming in, you can program both directions. And then the bottom one is the timing. So if you flick one of these remotes on, for instance, if you set a timer, let's say for 8 seconds, you turn that on, it'll run for 7 or 8 seconds, whatever you got it set at, and then that flow rate will stop automatically. So if you've got an attachment you just want to lift up out of the ground, you know it's going to take 4 seconds, you can just flick this lever, it'll run for 4 seconds and then stop. And then it's the same if you're lowering it back down. So very good feature to have. So you can turn this timer on or off. So even if you set the time, just remember, if you want to run the time just to like electronically, just turn that on. Another thing that you can do in your premium tractors is set a priority flow rate. So if there's a particular feature that your attachment needs to run, you can set whichever color coded one you're in. So whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 4, you can click on whichever one that you want, and you can make that remote the priority remote. So if the tractor comes under load and it's drawing too much hydraulics, if this is a priority remote, it's always going to keep the flow up to that hydraulic remote first, and then put your other remotes in second or third, whichever it happens to be. So very good feature. If you're running a hydraulic pump, for instance, it's always going to put priority flow through to whichever remote that you set up at. Other than that, from down here, so all these remotes are going to run the same. Down the bottom is to do with your front end loader that's attached on here. So you can do the same thing with your front end loader. So at the moment you can see all the functions of this are running at 100%, but if we click on it to open it, you can see all of these features. You can slow the flow rate down to suit the application you're running at. So at the moment the raising height runs at 100%. If you want it to slow down, all it is dropping it down so it'll slow that flow rate. So your raising height's going to run a lot slower. Most of the time you run that at 100, but it really is a performance and how you want the tractor to run. And it's the same with your dump or curling, with your bucket picking up or curling. The one that I find most people make adjustments to are your third function controls. So your bottom two here are your out or in, or your hydraulic. So it's very sensitive, and sometimes you just want your attachment to close, whether it's a grab or a 4-in-1, you just want them to slowly grab so you don't damage anything. So you can slow these flow rates right down, and then it's just going to come in. Doesn't matter how much or how fast you remove the buttons, it's only going to be a very slow and gradual close on any of those third function remotes. And then your other one up here, when you click on your flow rates here, is this top one. So the tractor just moved a bit, so turning this on with a little squiggly line, so that's your soft ride with your loader. So when you're traveling, it'll just bounce slowly with suspension, but when you're doing loader work, like lifting, you'll want to turn that off so the loader's fixed, and you're just going to be able to move up and down, and it won't bounce around or move from where you want the loader to be. So very easy to use and control if you need to. So moving on from your hydraulics here, you've just got your next one, which is your programming of your gearing and stuff that we ran through. Next one across here is to do with your suspension. So at the moment, it automatically sets up at 45% with auto. But when the tractor's running, you can turn this off and mechanically drop the tractor down or up, depending on how you want it to perform. So if you're doing a lot of loader work, you can turn the loader off, lock it, and then there's a little button down here on the side next to your PDO. We'll have a look at it in a minute. You can mechanically or manually lower this tractor right down, so it's very good and sturdy for doing a lot of heavy lifting work. This is also where you're going to do your forward drive or diff lock functions. So at the moment, you've got two features of both. So your top ones are your diff lock, so you can literally just turn it on or off. And then your bottom one is your auto diff lock, so it automatically disengage when it's unsafe and it doesn't need to operate, and then engage again when you straighten up or go below a certain speed. And it's the same setup with your forward drive, so just full-time forward drive or auto forward drive. So your auto forward drive, again, it will disengage when you turn your front wheels past a certain angle or travel over a higher than a certain speed, or to disengage. Then when you go slow back down or straighten the wheels back up, it'll automatically engage that forward drive again. So headland management set up on this screen. So it's a very good feature to be when you're ploughing a paddock and you get to the end of your run and you want to turn around, pick your implement up and then drop it back down once you've turned around. So in this setup, the tractor can record how you are operating. So when you turn this on, so it won't run now because the tractor's not on, but you'll unlock it and you've got two different settings. So one is when you get in the headland management, you'll pick it up, and then your second function is when you're lowering and doing everything in reverse. So when you're getting to the end of the run, you can literally press record down here. So when your tractor's started, you turn the record on and the tractor will record everything you've done at a certain time in certain sequence. So when you've saved it, you can literally push your button down here on the screen and the tractor will do exactly what you've done as you've saved it. And then you save your headland management coming out, and then you press across here to number 2 and you can record everything in reverse, how you want the implement set up when you want it to start working again. And you can pre-save lots of different settings in here. So once you've got them set up, you can literally push, there's a little like a disc symbol here, literally pushing that to save it. So it'll do exactly the same thing every time and you can come back to it. So once you've got a list of different saved features in here, you can literally go up and down, select the one that you want to select. So it's going to, every time you select that feature, it's going to perform those tasks in those orders that you've saved. So very good feature, makes it very easy. Instead of lifting linkages, turning PDOs off, whatever it happens to be with hydraulics, you're literally just pushing a button and it'll do everything in that particular sequence that you want it to do. Lastly, we've got just the performance of the tractor. So you've just got trips, idles, acreage if you've got it set up, how far you've done, temperatures. So you can change all of these features just how you want it to run. So we can PDO when you're going up hills, for instance, travel speeds, everything that you can set from in this screen as well. So at the moment it just says RPM low. It's just because literally the tractor's just not running at the moment at all. We've got, other than that, like I said, just to change these, if you want to put this over on the side here, literally just tap the little screen. If you push the big one, and then you've got a quick reference down the side here. So we can drop in 3-point linkage, for instance, so you can see where your 3-point linkage height is up to, and then you can run hydraulics. So you can really see a lot of features. Top one is just your positioning when it's set up in the screen. One of the benefits of this premium tractor is it's suited to anyone that's going to operate the tractor. So whether you want to run the tractor and really fine-tune its operations and operate its implements on the back, or whether you're just wanting to drive it old school and you don't want to see this screen at all. So on the side, you can literally turn this screen off altogether and you can just drive this mechanically and a tractor will do what you want it to do. So everything control-wise you can do without the screen. So changing gears, just pushing it forward to change gears, unlocking or locking hydraulics, front end loader controls, everything is done here mechanically without the screen. So you might have someone that prefers to drive just like this without having the electronic screen running, or you can do with all your electronics on and see exactly how the tractor's performing. So once you operate, it's up to you how you want to change it. But we'll run through some of these on the right hand control now. Front lever here, all the M7's the same, it's just your power shift control. So pushing it forward to go up a gear, back to go down a gear. To change the full range in the tractor, there's a little H pattern symbol on the side, so we're just pushing that in, pushing the control power shift lever forward to jump from A to B and up a range or down a range. On the controller itself, a little bit different to your standard machines with a couple extra buttons here. So you got a blue and a black lever on the bottom. What these are your hydraulic control remotes on the back. So color coded, so you got 4 remotes standard. So you got blue, black, and then your other 2 are down here on the arm control. So green and brown being your other 2. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to use them, it's literally pushing them up. So you can lock them up. So what that does is when your timer's on, it'll automatically disengage again. So up and down, and you can do that on all of them, pushing them forward or down. On here as well is your shuttle forward and reverse. So it's the same as on your steering wheel control. So there's a little safety button on the back. So you're holding that button in, and then you can go from forward to reverse whilst holding that button without using the clutch. So if you're under 10 k's an hour, forward or reverse without a clutch, without having any issues, go forward and reverse in whichever gear that you're in. Next black lever across, or black button, sorry, next to that is just your 3-point linkage raising or lowering. So you can set a minimum and maximum heights, and then pushing it up, it'll lift to your maximum PTO height that you've set, dropping it down or drop back down exactly where you left it. Next button across is just your auto gears. So when you turn it on, up on your screen, it has auto written up on the top. So that's just to let you know it'll automatically change through the gears depending on how it's set on the screen here itself. So it'll change through the full variation up and down if you want it to. Moving down from there, I know it looks like there's a lot of buttons, but they are very simple and self-explanatory. So first one here is your black dial. So that's just your 3-point linkage, so raising and lowering. So at the moment, just turn the dial all the way to the left. That'll lower your 3-point linkage down. Turning it down to the right, that'll raise your 3-point linkage. Little button behind it, it's just got a little padlock next to it. So that's just to lock the 3-point linkage. So it just physically won't move at all from where it is. And the little slide here at the back, it's just your engine RPM. So you just increase your engine RPM just to where you want it to run. So on from there, you just got these buttons through here. So the first one at the back here is got like a heap of little hydraulic cylinders on it and a padlock. So what that is just to lock any hydraulic remotes on the back of the tractor. So it doesn't matter if you accidentally bump any of these hydraulic buttons, the hydraulics just won't work on the back of the tractor at all. Next to above that are your A and a B. So they are your preset engine RPM functions. So whatever you set them on the screen, once you push this button, it'll increase to where you've got it set. Push it again, it'll drop back down to idle on where you've got the tractor set before that. Moving on from there, so you got like a Roman symbol type setup, so with a single and then a double one next to it. So they're those headland management functions. So once you've got them recorded and saved up on the screen, it's literally just pushing which function that you want at a particular time. So you can push that one button and it'll run to how you've got it recorded and saved on the screen. Moving around there, you've got 3 extra orange buttons. First one here's got a padlock and your diff lock symbol around it, so it's just your diff lock on or off. Next one is your forward drive, so you can turn the forward drive on or off, so you don't have to have the screen for that. When you turn any of these on, it'll show up on the dash. So if we've got the diff lock and the forward drive turned on, it'll show us on the screen, and we can turn them off. And then your only other one is a big N symbol. So all that is just to neutral the tractor. So instead of going forward reverse, you want to put it into neutral, literally just pushing your N button and then the tractor will jump into neutral. So you can come to a stop and do whatever you need to do. Around here, you've got a few different functions. So what these are, let's say your hands are really dirty or greasy and you don't want to be touching the screen at all, you can literally turn these dials or push the buttons to change the screen as you need it to. So turning this little dial, you'll see that it highlights the yellow symbol around what you want it to do. So let's say we want to change the loader down here, for instance. Once that's highlighted around there, you literally push that button down to enter, and then you can enter those screens again. And then turning the dial around, and you can enter, it'll go blue, and then you can turn that function up or down accordingly how you want them to run. So if your hands are all dirty, you can run these dial down here, or if you don't want to touch the screen, you can just turn your dial with your right hand, very comfortable, and set any features on the tractor as well, depending on how you want it to run. All your functions around here, they're like preset functions. So if you want that screen saved to that setting, you've got F1, 2, 3 or 4. So you've got lots of different functions, and you can save a particular screen that's your favorite, or depending on attachments, and pre-save them. Otherwise, you've got a little home button as well, and it's just runs it back to home how it's set. So you can have those save settings just to make it easy. Next one across is just your PDO. So if you need to engage the PDO, just pulling that little lever up, flicking it forward, and that'll start your PDO. Pulling it back just to disengage or stop the PDO. So that's your rear PDO. You can have front PDO and front linkage as well. So if you've got front PDO on here, there's a little blank on this tractor, but that one on the side here, that'd have the same lever, and that would run your front PDO on the tractor as well. On the back here, so all your premium or your premium KVT, so your variable transmission models, have a inbuilt electronic controller in here. So this has two different functions depending on how you want it. At the moment, this will only run the front end loader, but if you have 2 extra remotes on the back, so if you have 6 hydraulic remotes, you can change it with a little button here and run 2 extra remotes from this controller on the screen as well. But it runs exactly the same as any other front end loader control. So forward just to lower, back to raise, side to tilt, and left hand way will curl the bucket up as well. The only thing that's a little bit different is your third function. So your hydraulic flow to the front of the loader, for depending on what attachment you got on. There's a little toggle switch here. So it's just pushing it, flicking it up or down just to open and close, depending on which flow rate that you want it to run. And then on top is the fourth function. So you can run a fourth function on the loader. So that's just to turn that on or off. So you can just see I've caused a little error because there's not actually a fourth function fitted, but that's just a fourth function to have an extra hydraulic remote on the back, on the front of the loader as well. So on there, only other 2 buttons on the controller here. So the first one on the left is if you want to change. So if you've got 2 extra remotes, that'll just change. So you've got 5th and 6th hydraulic remotes. So then you're controlling your 2 extra remotes from the joystick. So it's just flicking from front end loader to them. And then the next one across, so every time you start the tractor, this will be locked. So that's just to lock this joystick control. So every time you get in the tractor, this will be green. So to use the front end loader, all you got to do is to turn it off, and then it knows that you do want to use the front end loader control. So turning it off, and then you can use the front end loader or control whatever you need to control. Moving around to your right inside, there's not much over here because everything's on your arm console, but they're just your 2 yellow levers are your PDO selection. So standard with 540 and 1000 RPM in both standard and economy. So 4 different gear selections, standard in your premium tractors, or all the M7 range is standard with that. Next little button across here, so this is just to manually change the front suspension setup. So you can, pushing it forward or furthest to the right, that'll drop the suspension all the way down. Pushing it down to the bottom will give you a bit more suspension. So you can manually change how you want the tractor suspension in the front setup. Down here, so there's a few blanks, but either travel or you can put it into work mode or draft mode just down here with a flick of the switch. And then standard up here is just your radio, and then all your aircon or heating as well, all standard in this tractor. Moving around to your control at the front here, it's the same as all of your other M7s. So very easy to operate if you're jumping in from a standard or a premium tractor. So orange controller here is just your shuttling forward or reverse, pushing it down for neutral, wipers up on the side, headlights or blinkers left or right, and then underneath the steering wheel here is all your work light control. So it's just pushing them down if you wanted to turn all your work lights on front and back, and then a setup selection on the screen. So you can change the digital layout on here if you want the tractor to perform differently. So if we press select, you'll see it highlights on the screen here. So we can change. So at the moment, that one, we change it down to your 3-point linking symbol. So currently it's at 100%. So if we want to change that while it's flashing there, we literally press the ENT, which is your enter button. We can go across to your little arrows here, press enter again, and we can see something else. So let's press select. We'll go across and we'll select the power. So you can literally see how much power that the engine is using. So at the moment it's 0%, not using any, but while the tractor's performing and running, you can see exactly how hard that the tractor is working if you wanted to. So you can quickly change any of those functions to suit what you want to see. The only other gear thing that you'll see up here once you start the tractor is the first blank line will go to a letter, so A, B, C, D or E, and then your second one is the number. So A, B, C or D being the range, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is just which gear in that range that you're running, and then N is either F for forward or R for reverse. So very simple, easy to see. Other than that, you just got analog gauges around your side. So you got fuel, temperature gauge, and then just your engine RPM on the left hand side. So it's always an analog readout there, so you can see exactly where the tractor's running. Other than that, there's just a couple of little switches underneath the steering wheel. Just pick that up a bit. So you just got your lights underneath the front here, so it's just your headlights on or off on the front of the machine. On the right hand side of the control is your wipers control. So you've got around here on the side, so your first one is your battery isolator. So when you get in the shed, you can turn this isolator off. Battery's not going to go flat on you, or your electronics going to turn off. Next one is just your rear wipers. So on the rear window, if you need to turn your wipers on, that's just a switch underneath the side there. So we'll have a look at some features on the 4, just so it's very easy to operate and you can see. So it's just your clutch. Next one across is your steering adjustment. So if you push that down, that's your steering column. So that's your angle and telescopic in or out. So once you get it set to where you want it, just take your foot off and it'll lock in. But it's very easy. Drop that steering wheel down so you can jump in and out. Next ones are just your brakes, so left and right brake, and then your throttle, mechanical throttle on the side here. Down here on the next to the seat, so that's just your mechanical, just your park brake on the side, and then through the center of the seat, there's a few levers here. So it's just to adjust the seat performance, so being slide forward or reverse, or you can change that angle. So you can see as I change that angle, the whole arm console is moving with me. So I can swivel that seat round to the left, lock it in, and it's still very comfortable for me to sit on and control with my right hand. So my armrest is, elbows resting here, all controls are easily reachable, so you're not holding your arm up or holding any weight on that machine. Air suspension setup as well, so full air suspension, so you can adjust accordingly depending on your weight and size and where you're comfortable in the machine. Standard with the extra training seat or operator seat in here, so if you're training anyone or want to sit in the tractor with anyone, and then a seat belt for that person that's sitting in here as well. It'll flick under the seat. Cup holder if you need it. Otherwise, you can see, we'll turn this light off in here now. You can see very open access. That's it for a quick look around the inside of the cab. Let's lower the steering wheel down. So on getting out of the cab, you'll see it is a very big open glass door. So very easy access to get in and out with all of your safety grab handles. So plenty of steps for anyone to jump in and out of the cab for easy access on this machine. So that wraps up our walk around of the Kubota M7-152 premium range. If you want any more information on this tractor, or if you need any more information regarding any of these tractors in the lineup, please leave it in the deep comments below or give us a call and we'll have to help you out.